All right, so thanks for tuning in to another episode of That Sports Podcast. As always, I am your host, Brandon B., coming at you with a brand new episode. Last time I talked a lot about UFC 279 because it was going to be a great matchup between Khamzat and Diaz. Unfortunately, as we all know by now, Khamzat missed weight, so they had to reshuffle. Khamzat ended up fighting Kevin Holland, and Tony Ferguson ended up fighting Diaz. Both of the guys won their fights, but it definitely was a huge letdown not getting to see them go at it, especially that being Diaz's last fight in the UFC. And I think it does take Khamzat's stock down a little bit. It was very unprofessional. I mean, he missed weight by a lot. I mean, he was almost 10 pounds over, and that's a lot. You know what I mean? A pound or two, they may forgive, and, those kinds of things happen. But when you're, almost 10 pounds over, it's seen as unprofessional in the fight world and stuff like that. So, I definitely feel like that does take his stock down a little bit. It's unfortunate for him. But he's a very talented fighter, and he won the fight in convincing fashion against Kevin Holland. So it's not like he's showing any signs of slowing down, or he's going to keep on his winning ways and stuff like that. Let's just hope that there's not another one of these instances again, or else it could potentially tank his UFC career. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to fight the guy who's going to back out at the last minute because they weighed too much and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It messes with people's careers, especially when you have to switch up a fight. Diaz prepared for Khamzat and didn't prepare for Tony Ferguson, but I mean, he still handled the fight well, still won. Anyway, moving on from that debacle, the second week of the NFL is in the books. The Giants are off to a 2-0 start, which, I mean, it's still early in the season, so I'm not all in on the Giants right now. They're winning very close games, games that they could easily have lost, and Daniel Jones isn't playing terribly. He's got 364 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's completing 70% of his passes. Downside is that he only has the 3 touchdowns. He only has 364 yards. And his interception to touchdown ratio is 3-1. Now, obviously, over they got like 15 games left in the season. It's a long season, a 3-1 ratio, that can spell disaster, especially in these games where they're close. I mean, the Giants, like I said, they won very close games against Tennessee and Carolina. The defense is looking good. Barkley's looking good. But as far as the passing game, that's still looking rather stagnant. And I know some people might say, oh, well, it's because Daniel Jones doesn't have any wide receivers and yada, 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 and this, that, and the third. But I this is something that I've seen from Daniel Jones since he's been in the league. He's been an underwhelming quarterback. And the reason the Giants are off to such a good start is because he's handled the ball well. He's completed 70% of his passes. But again, the season's still early. We still have yet to see what happens, over the course of this season. We're just 2 games in. I don't see him, turning a corner and then all of a sudden being a Pro Bowl quarterback. If I'm being completely honest about it, if we took Aaron Rodgers and put him in Daniel Jones' spot, if we took Patrick Mahomes and put him in Daniel Jones' spot, if we took Kyler Murray and put him in Daniel Jones' spot, those top tier quarterbacks, the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL over the last couple seasons, you take them and put them in Daniel Jones' spot currently, they're probably going to eat, right? They're going to make some things happen. Whereas Daniel Jones just looks very pedestrian at the quarterback position, and I'm not knocking him, I'm not deriding him. You know what I mean? I think that if he plays this way throughout the rest of the season and the Giants defense holds up and Saquon Barkley stays healthy, I mean, like I said, Saquon Barkley's looking good. Through 2 games, I believe he has 260-something yards and a touchdown. So, I mean, through 2 games, that's really good for Saquon. I mean, he hasn't played a full season and he's coming back. He's looking strong. But how his durability is going to rely a lot upon the passing game. And if Daniel Jones can't find a way to make things happen or, make these throws and stuff like that, I mean, right now he only has 2 throws over 20 yards. And the longest one, I believe, is 65 yards. So one of those is a 65-yarder. Now, that's an impressive stat, but at the same time, it's like, how many more of those games is he going to have? When the turnovers start coming, let's say next game he throws 2 interceptions, you know what I'm saying? Like, is he going to rebound from that and not throw any more interceptions for couple weeks straight, or is he going to start rearing his turnover ugly head? That's what I need to see before I'm all in on this Giants team. I mean, like I said, the defense is looking good. I mean, and the defense has looked good the last couple seasons. It's not like the defense has been a terrible spot. It's mostly been the offense. The offense is just stagnant, can't generate points, and we're seeing that same trend now. So now we have to really look at it and say, is it the receivers or is it Daniel Jones? My opinion is that it's Daniel Jones. But we'll see. We'll see. Like I said, we still got, 14, 15 games left, so we'll see what the Giants got in store. I mean, I'm hoping that they make it to an 8-8 season, 500. At least win some, at least, be competitive, half the time and stuff like that. I mean, I'm tired of them being on the losing side of things. So it'd be nice to see them, 8-8, get 500. That to me shows a lot of improvement to go from whatever they were last year, that abysmal season they had last year and the year before, to going to 8-8. That shows a lot of improvement. So we'll see what happens with that. The Timberwolves' Anthony Edwards was fined $40,000 for an IG video he made. Apparently, he made some video on Instagram where there were some guys with their pants or no shirt or something like that. They had no shirts on or something like that. And he said some inappropriate so he said some very inappropriate things. Some would say they were homophobic. I wouldn't say homophobic. I would say that, he used them in a very derogatory term or a derogatory way as derogatory terms, but I wouldn't say that he was necessarily being homophobic. But he was fined $40,000 for it. And I mean, and this is the type of stuff that I feel like it's completely avoidable. It's completely avoidable. When the cameras are rolling and you got eyes on you and stuff, just watch your mouth. Just watch your mouth. I understand that everybody has an opinion. I understand everybody feels some type of way. I understand that people don't care necessarily about what other people think about the things that they say and stuff like that, and that's cool. But when they get you on camera and they put it out there for the world to see, or when you put it on camera when they put it on camera themselves for the world to see and stuff like that, it's like you've made your bed. And now when the people starting in on you and everything like that, and the fines come and you're quote unquote canceled by society and everything like that, that's what happens. There are tons of celebrities out there that have gone their entire careers without having any sort of negative publicity around their politics or any sort of stuff going on in their lives and everything like that. And it's like, how do they manage that? How do they manage it? It's simple. It's because they keep their fucking mouth shut about certain things. Even if they feel the completely opposite of what they're saying, they keep their mouth shut about that shit in public. Behind closed doors with their close personal circle, group of friends, the people that don't talk about shit and everything like that. Yeah, they may be expressing different viewpoints than what the fuck they said, but they're not running for office, are they? No, they're not. They're just minding their business. They're rich people, celebrities, tons of people out there. So I think it's good on the Timberwolves to fine him, the $40,000 and stuff like that. I mean, if they suspended him a couple of games or something, if it happened during the season, they suspended him a couple of games, I'd be all for it because, like I said, that kind of stuff, it doesn't need to be put out there and everything like that. And, these guys, these people are role models whether they want to be or not. You know what I mean? And at the very least, you need to maintain a very neutral standing with the public. Right, like I understand that some people don't want to come off as that clean cut, pristine, like goody two shoes motherfucker and stuff like I get that. I completely understand that. I am not that guy either. But at the same time, you got to walk a fine line and be like, I got to keep my mouth shut under certain circumstances when people ask me certain questions, when certain things come up. I got to answer the politically correct way when I talk about these things out in public and everything like that, and, pretty much, support the causes and everything, because even though I don't necessarily believe in them, because I don't want to be canceled by the public eye. So I have to maintain a neutral standing. And when I say neutral standing, I just mean like you don't make a big fuss about things and you just kind of go with whatever the masses are saying. If I were a celebrity and somebody were to ask me, let's say somebody were to ask me about gun control and stuff like that, I would simply say, like, I leave it up to the people. That's their decision. People don't feel safe. People feel safe. Like, whatever the majority decides, that's what they decide. I'll go along with it. And that's my opinion on it. Right? Like, that's my opinion on that subject matter. Now, do I believe the AR-15 should be banned? Any sort of high capacity assault style rifles? Yeah, all of that shit should be banned. But would I say that out in public? Would I sit there and you know what I'm saying? Like, that's something that I'd have to weigh the pros and the cons on, because I might have some fans who are diehard gun nuts and stuff like that, decent people and everything. You know what I mean? That's just the one thing that they refuse to give up. That's the one thing they refuse to compromise on. And I understand their right to bear arms and their right to feel however they want to feel. So like I said, I would have to really consider the pros and the cons with that subject. Now, to me, that's a big subject, but at the same time, like, I've made my point known. Whatever the people decide is what I will go with, what I will abide by. I mean, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar said he needs to do, some volunteer work with the community and stuff like that. I mean, if that's what he feels he should do it. But if he doesn't want to do any of that, he just wants to donate some money or something like that, you know what I mean? Like, that's fine too. I mean, people have a right to feel how they feel. You know what I mean? People have a right to feel how they feel. And sitting there saying that he should be forced to go do this, or he should have to go do that. It's like, you know what? If he is homophobic, let him be homophobic. He apologized. He's paying his $40,000 fine, and I bet we'll probably never hear nothing else like this again. Now, I'm not saying that people should be homophobic and that it's okay, but people have a right to feel how they feel. And I can't sit here and tell people. It's just like, I accept the fact that there will always be racists in the world. I do. Because you can't kill an idea. You will never kill an idea. Racism will never completely go away. Even if we got to a point in American society where there were actually no pure-blooded white people in this country, people would still find something about another person's race or something to be racist about. And again, I'm not saying that's okay. I'm just saying that I accept it for what it is, because people are going to have their fucking shitty standpoints, their shitty viewpoints, their shitty ideas, their shitty opinions and stuff like that. And we can't kill an idea. The only thing we can do is make sure that publicly we're all in a unified voice and saying, keep that shit away from the rest of us. You want to be racist, do it in a backwood, do it in your backwoods and shit like that, behind closed doors, and stay the fuck away from the rest of us. But once you go out committing hate crimes and discriminating against folks, saying, oh, we don't serve blacks in this restaurant and everything like that, yeah, we coming for that ass. You will get locked up, you will get persecuted, you will get fined, you will get sued, all of that shit. But like I said, at the end of the day, they have every right to be racist and think what they want to think and stuff like that. Like, and there's nothing I can do about it. Absolutely nothing. So like I said, I'm not giving him a pass. You know what I mean? Like, I'm glad that he got fined. I'm glad that he, got his punishment and stuff like that, because this stuff has no place in the public eye, and that it only helps fuel the idea that it's okay to be homophobic and stuff like that. And like I said, it's not okay. It's not okay. But if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. I'm not going to sit there and be friends with you. If y'all find out that somebody that I know is homophobic or something like that, like, yeah, we're not cool. We're not friends. Because I don't want to give you the idea that just because we're friends, I'm cool with you being homophobic. No, I'm cool. That's like that's like, how can I be? That's like me being friends with somebody who's friends with a racist. It's like, no, I don't want to be friends with you. You're cool with that dude being racist. Like, it's one thing to just let him be racist, but it's a completely separate thing to be chilling with him on the regular. So like I said, it's not cool to be any of that shit. But people are gonna feel how they feel and say what they want to say and stuff like that. And anyway. Herm Edwards was fired. I believe he's the head coach at Arizona State University. Got fired. They were playing some good football, but he got fired after a terrible performance. And there was an NCAA investigation. There's an NCAA investigation that's ramping up right now into illegal recruiting practices and stuff like that. So, this is just a bad look for Herm Edwards. I mean, overall, that's just generally what I wanted to talk about. I mean, Herm Edwards was a respected, ex-player, a respected coach and stuff like that. And now his whole legacy, reputation, everything is being tainted. It's ruined. You know what I mean? Like now he can't even go back to being an analyst for the Thursday night games or Monday night games, Sunday night games, whatever. You know what I mean? Can't go back to ESPN. Not saying that they at some point he can't, but right now no one's going to touch him until these allegations clear, until the stink of being fired wears off and everything like that. You know what I mean? Like there's just a lot right now, and it's just a sad look for him. You know, it's just a sad look for him. And I understand that he wanted to win, and I understand that it's tough. Recruiting is tough, and it's a dog eat dog world. But if these allegations are true, and they really were going out there doing things that were sketchy and outside the rules to recruit kids and stuff like that, his firing was warranted. You know what I mean? And I feel like that played a part in it as well. The team losing, players jumping ship and stuff like that. Now now this investigation's ramping up. The bottom's falling out of this organization, organization, and the team's not looking good and stuff like that. So and like I said, it's just a bad look for him. And I hope that it's not as bad as it could be, right? Like, I'm not saying that I hope this stuff doesn't get to be true, because I really don't care either way. But at the same time, it's just like I hope that when they conclude the investigation, we don't find out that it was a lot worse than was originally reported. You know what I mean? I mean, some of the stuff that they did was a little sketchy here and there and everything, and it's against the rules. But I'm hoping that there wasn't any more egregious that comes out. You know what I mean? Like, them, taking them to visit strippers or buying them alcohol and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, just really egregious things. You really hope that you don't hear those types of things and stuff like that. But, at the end of the day, like I said, it's a bad look for Herm Edwards, and, it is what it is. But this is why, you have to look at these people, like they're human beings, because they all make mistakes. They all doing things behind closed doors and stuff like that. And this is the kind of stuff that shakes loose every once in a while, and it's just disappointing that you see it from Herm Edwards. Anyway, the WNBA players are refusing to play in Russia. One report said safety concerns. The other said they won't play there until Brittany Griner is released. And I'm just curious as to where all this heat was in regards to Russia prior to this. I mean, because as far as I know it, Russia hasn't been very friendly to a lot of, some of the communities we're more accepting of here in America, the trans community, the gay community and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, and, free speech and stuff like that. Like, over there, they're very censored in what they can put on television and stuff like that. And the internet's controlled by the Russian government, I believe. I'm not saying that for 100% fact, but I believe that that's what I heard. I know in North Korea, the internet is controlled by the government and people can only access certain websites. I know that certain websites are banned in certain countries. But like I said, my point is that, like, where was all of that heat? It was okay to play basketball over there, right? Collect millions of dollars and then come back over here and be like, oh yeah, fuck Russia, but I'm gonna go back over there and play basketball again. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're helping their economy. You're helping. You know what I'm saying? Like, how are you gonna be not saying anything, but now all of a sudden Brittany Griner is in jail because she took illegal drugs over there and got caught. You know what I'm saying? And now all of a sudden, oh, we're not going to go play. We're not going to go play because this, that, and the third. It's like, why would you ever go back and play? The United States and Russia have never been on the greatest of terms. I'm not saying that we're enemies, but we're damn sure not friends by a long shot. Right? Like, we're not all singing Kumbaya and world peace and shit like that with Russia. No, that's not what's happening. So it's like, why was anybody even going over there in the first place? Like, I wouldn't even go to visit. I hear Russia's a beautiful country. There's probably beautiful places. They probably got good food to eat and everything. But I'm not going. As long as Putin's in power and as long as they have all of the fucked up shit that they got going on over there, like, society wise and everything like that, you can cancel me going over there. I'm sorry, I'm not going. But I guess if you shake some money in front of some people's faces and everything like that, they forget about all the bad stuff going on over there and everything like that, so they can go play basketball. That's just my 2 cents on it. Sorry if that offends anybody. Anyway, speaking of Nate Diaz, he said he was open to boxing Jake Paul. And, I mean, I feel like it'd be a decent fight, but I mean, I'm kind of sick of hearing about Jake Paul because he's not boxing for anything, first of all. He's only boxing for money, right? And most of his boxing matches are pretty much just professional sparring sessions. They're just putting on a show. So essentially what Jake Paul is proving is that all you need is somebody who has a following to be willing to get into the ring and box, and you have a show. To me, that undercuts the value that all of these other guys put into their craft. Some of these guys work their entire lives in boxing, mixed martial arts, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, wrestling, like whatever it is that they spend their whole lives, training for that and working towards that and never achieve it. But some fucking YouTuber who had the money to spend on a professional trainer and to spend time just working out and boxing all day, every day, he comes in and he's making it millions of dollars, and people are like, oh, he's opening doors for everybody. How's he opening doors for everybody? And what is it that they're fighting for? All his wins are going to amount to what? He's going to be the champion of something? He hasn't fought anybody who's actively on the boxing circuit. Now, I'm not trying to take away from Anderson Silva, not trying to take away from Tyron Woodley, Ben Askren, or anyone that he's supposed to box or has boxed or beaten. I'm just saying, where is he supposed? Where is he? When are we going to see him box somebody who's actively boxing on the circuit? Somebody who's put in the time in the gym. Boxing and mixed martial arts are not the same. Anderson Silva is an elite striker, 100%. This is actually the biggest test of Jake Paul's quote-unquote boxing career. Because Anderson Silva, I believe, is a little bit taller, which means he's going to have a little bit of a reach advantage, which is going to be something new for Jake Paul to try and overcome. Anderson Silva is also a world-class striker. That man has made some of the best strikers in the world look just absolutely like they're amateurs in the octagon, in the ring. So yes, this is a big test for Jake Paul. But Anderson Silva is also in his 40s. He's also retired from mixed martial arts. He's basically boxing because fighting's all he knows. And he's still relatively good at it compared to most people. And I hope his body holds up and he can fight as long as he wants to and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like, Jake Paul has not fought anybody who's actively on the boxing circuit. He's not fought anybody who's out there, actually, putting in the work, climbing the actual rankings and stuff like that. And then I see, a headline that says that people are afraid of Jake Paul. Afraid of Jake Paul? People are afraid of Jake Paul simply because fighting him has no upside. The only thing that people stand to gain by fighting Jake Paul is money. Jake Paul stands to gain reputation and money. The only thing these guys are winning are getting from fighting him is money. That's it. Tyron Woodley lost. His whole fight career, his whole fight legacy has gone downhill. His losing streak has done nothing but continued, which got him bounced out of the UFC, and he fought Jake Paul twice and lost twice. Got knocked out the second time. If Anderson Silva loses, do I believe that's going to tarnish his legacy a little bit? Maybe. If he gets knocked out, possibly. Because he let some amateur fucking knock him out. Some kid who's been boxing for less than 5 years knock him out? Really? Now Nate Diaz is retired from mixed martial arts as well. That doesn't mean he's retired from the fight game. I hear he's getting ready to start his own fighting league and stuff like that. So I mean, we'll see what happens with that. But at the end of the day, like a lot of the guys he's fought, they're outside of their prime. I'm not saying they're not dangerous fighters for the average man, and probably still could whoop some ass in some of these divisions and stuff like that, and some of these guys. But at the end of the day, they're no longer competing in mixed martial arts because they hung it up. For whatever reason. All right. Last topic. GSP wishes he could have fought Anderson Silva and Khabib. And I just say Khabib because I cannot say that man's last name. Khabib N. That's what I'm calling him. Fuck it. So George St. Pierre, arguably one of the best UFC fighters in UFC history, wishes he could have fought Anderson Silva and Khabib. Now, all of us hardcore UFC fans definitely would have loved to see him fight Anderson Silva. It would have been an amazing fight. Now, in my mind, Anderson Silva wins that fight because Anderson Silva had tremendous takedown defense, but underneath that takedown defense, he also had a great ground game. The man was a Brazilian jiu-jitsu ace, and I mean, just he would pull off submissions just so easily. He was pulling off knockouts so easily. I mean, everything about Anderson Silva made his opponents just look like they were ranked amateurs. That's it. Seriously, that's how good Anderson Silva was back in his heyday. And George St. Pierre was much the same. I mean, he beat BJ Penn twice. He beat Matt Hughes twice. He beat Carlos Condit. And he dethroned Michael Bisping when he came back and got the, I think it was for the middleweight belt. So it would have been an amazing fight. But I think Anderson Silva would have won. I think he would have outstriked George St. Pierre. And as much as he would have tried to as much as GSP would have tried to take him down, I don't think he would have. I think GSP would have definitely scored some takedowns. Like, I'm not saying that Anderson Silva wouldn't have gotten taken down, but I don't think he would have been able to dominate on the ground. I don't think he would have been able to dominate Anderson Silva on the ground like he did a lot of other people. And GSP versus Khabib, I could definitely see that being an amazing fight. I mean, honestly, they were two world-class grapplers, and they could both throw hands. They both had knockout power in their hands. So, who wins that fight? I'm leaning towards GSP. I just like GSP's striking arsenal more. He was a more technical striker. He had some big head kicks and stuff like that. I mean, the guy was just explosive with his strikes. I think that Khabib would have had to try and take him down, and that's where George St. Pierre really shines, is on the ground. I mean, the dude has phenomenal great takedown defense, and he's ruthless in pursuing a takedown, and he's very strong on the ground. So I think GSP would have had the edge in that fight. But I mean, it only makes sense that GSP wanted to fight those two because they were two of the best fighters in their heyday, in the prime, when they were coming up through the ranks and stuff like that. I mean, these guys were huge names. It's unfortunate that Khabib retired. Won the strap and then retired. Defended his belt a couple times, and his dad died. Then he retired. It's a shame that GSP's team and Silva's team never got that fight done, because that would have been a huge fight. I mean, honestly. They probably would have had record numbers, ticket sales and pay-per-view buys, but well before they had these recent ones. You know what I mean? Like, they probably would have seen their biggest pay-per-view in history at that point, and they would have had a hard time topping it and meeting it, because that would have just been such a huge fight. That's. Oh man, just thinking about that shit gets me so excited. It would be dope if Anderson Silva and George St. Pierre boxed. I mean, maybe even did a grappling match. I mean, George St. Pierre did say he'd be open to doing a grappling match for the right cause with Khabib. So that could be something that they look into potentially. I mean, I would definitely watch it. Seeing those guys go at it. Anyway. that is my episode. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Don't forget, I am looking for a co-host for this podcast, so you can reach out to me on my social medias. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and follow me on the social medias. Check out the website, buy a That Sports Podcast t-shirt or any of the other t-shirts that I have up there. Also, don't forget to stop by my eBay. I definitely have to update that and make sure that the items that I had for sale up there are still up there. But that is an issue for another time, because up next I have to record an episode of XYZ Talk Radio, the podcast. Don't forget to check out that as well. Thanks for tuning in again. Have a good one. Peace.